ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 14th edition of India's finest festival of ideas and arguments. What a year it has been, full of great upheavals, astonishing victories, and astounding comebacks. In the long-running soap opera that is Indian democracy, this has been a year of chills, spills, and assorted thrills. We have witnessed a one-man demolition squad. He first demolished the old guard of his party and bent it to his will. He then went to diminish the grand old party to a point where it could not even be recognized as an official opposition. I think you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Narendra Modi. In my 40 years of journalism, I have not seen such a relentless, high-voltage election campaign as that of Modi's 2014 general election. It was a lethal combination of digital warriors with RSS foot soldiers. The maximum campaign got maximum results. After 30 years, a clear mandate to one party. And if I may say so, I believe this mandate was for development, not for divide, for empowerment, not for appeasement, for performance, not for preaching. It is a welcome change which for the last 5 years, for a country which had been tormented by a flood of scams, scandals, and declining rates of growth, while the leadership remained in a comatose state. India breathed a sigh of relief. The politics of despair had been replaced with the audacity of hope. Prime Minister Modi has hit the ground running with his vision and the direction he wants to take the country. I believe it's the right vision. With 270 million people still below the poverty line, raising their standard of living has to be the topmost priority for any government. Modi's approach is poverty elimination through economic growth and not poverty alleviation like that. Creation of new jobs. With 1 million people coming to the job market every month, this is a huge challenge. The only way to do this is to fix our fundamentally lopsided economy. India employs 49% of the labor force in agriculture, while it contributes only 14% to our GDP. These ratios have to change if you have to become a developed country and eliminate poverty. We have to make agriculture more productive and provide jobs for the resultant surplus labor in industry. The contribution to GDP of industry has to improve dramatically from the present 26%. Quite obvious, actually, but no previous government has given it the trust and focus like the Modi government. This is where the Prime Minister's ambitious Make in India program fits in. But many programs have to precede it. It means the creation of physical infrastructure and skilled human capital. Smart cities naturally become part of this scheme. How do you build a 21st century India with the 19th century roads and railways? How do you actually realize the demographic dividend if young men and women do not have the right skills for the right jobs? These are some of the issues we will discuss at the conclave with all the stakeholders. The budget was path-breaking. In that it reflected some change in the mindset. The change being that the government is not the end-all of everything. Limiting the unproductive doles which are the hallmark of the previous regime and setting the ambitious target of 69,500 crores for disinvestment was a reflection of this change. It is a recognition that government management of business enterprises is often the kiss of death. The test will obviously lie in implementation, which is where most governments flounder. As for me, I'm Oliver Twist. I want more. I believe government should not be involved in banking, insurance, hotels, transport, mining, energy. You get the drift. I believe that the day the government puts Ashoka Hotel and Air India for sale as signature acts, that's when I will truly believe that the bureaucrats and the politicians are serious about letting go. The other big change that has happened, somewhat as a happy coincidence, is the acceptance by the government of the 42nd Finance Commission, where 42% of the taxes receipts will go to the states. This is a very fundamental change in our federal structure. It will not only change the economic policies of this country, it will also change the political landscape. The abolition of the Planning Commission has put an end to the centre's dominant role in the allocation of resources to the states. I welcome this, as the states have a much better idea of their needs. But at the same time, the financial management of most states needs to be strengthened. Sadly, I'm going to predict that the next bunch of major scandals will come from the states. That apart, Modi has shown as Chief Minister of Gujarat that development undertaken by the states can be very effective. They are the building blocks in the future growth story of India. We have for you tomorrow night the Chief Minister's roundtable of 6 Chief Ministers from major states across the country. Their power comes with a heavy responsibility for all of us. As I said, though the vision is grand and the direction is right, but getting the job done is another matter. The government, for all its right ideas, is facing heavy weather in Parliament in getting its agenda through. The opposition is doing to the BJP government exactly what the BJP did to the UPA government. Unfortunately, the chickens have come home to roost. I often wonder when this cussedness in our Indian politics will go away. In fact, in some way, Modi is the victim of his own success. He has reduced a national party like the Congress to a bonsai party, which has meant that BJP has to deal with many small regional parties who are far more parochial in their outlook. We have in fact a session tomorrow of eminent opposition leaders titled "Size Does Not Matter." Alongside these major changes at the center, the beginning of 2014 saw the birth of a new kind of politics in the capital. The story of Arvind Kejriwal, whether you like him or not, is a tribute to Indian democracy. To create a party from nowhere in virtually a year and to caucus snook at the mighty BJP in their own backyard is quite incredible. The fact that this party is splitting now is another matter. It actually happens to most Indian parties, and that's when you think that they've actually become a party. We would have loved to hear from them at the conclave, but I think they are somewhat preoccupied at this time. Just to complete the year of surprises, only last month, the never-before alliance in J&K between the nationalistic BJP and the self-rule advocates, the PDP, would have been an unthinkable political coupling. As we are discovering, they make for strange bedfellows. But if it works, it could be a unique opportunity for peace in the valley. You will be hearing from one of the major architects of this unusual alliance. It is for all these reasons that the conclave this year is mainly focused on our domestic scene. Whose politics could be more fascinating than what has happened here last year? Our land of million mutinies has become a land of million possibilities. However, as we all know, no nation can survive in isolation. The Prime Minister has made sure of that. He has visited 10 countries. He's in tour right now since he took over and has shown extraordinary pragmatism. Whether it is signing a long-stalled nuclear agreement with America or unblocking the WTO talks, India has shown a remarkable skill at negotiating its place among the high table of nations, leaving behind the baggage of the past. To reflect our place in the world, we have for the first time a panel of 7 ambassadors of leading nations of the world. No one can live in peace if it is not friendly with your neighbors. So it is with countries. India-Pakistan relationship is an unending roller coaster saga which has tested many leaders on both sides for decades. Hopefully, the post-independence generation of leaders will resolve our long-standing disputes so that we can prosper together. We have with us at the conclave one of Pakistan's most articulate diplomats and one of India's most experienced strategic advisors to discuss our prickly relationship. We also have our defense minister and former army chief who will tell us how secure our borders are and what is needed to upgrade our armed forces. A little further away from us, a country in a permanent state of war for over 3 decades, where a remarkable democratic experiment is underway. With American troops withdrawing, there is an air of uncertainty hanging over Afghanistan. What happens in this country affects the whole region. We are therefore fortunate to have the CEO of this war-torn country to tell us whether they hope for a lasting peace. And just a little further away from Afghanistan, a new kind of terror threat looms large. It is the world's new nightmare, heavily armed, liberally funded, and well organized to the point where it publishes an annual report of its terrorist activities. Instead of financial numbers, it has body counts. At the conclave, you will hear about it from one of the world's leading experts on ISIS from Princeton University, 2 former hostages, and Afghanistan's former head of the Directorate of Security. No conversation at the conclave can be complete with what completes India, its soft power. A young woman who first came to India as a naive model more than a decade ago will tell us how she became a superstar with many blockbusters to her credit. One of the world's foremost gurus will share secrets of ageless living and timeless thinking. A grandmaster of chess will show us the moves that made him great. And one of the world's brightest young mathematicians will tell us why he's powering an initiative to bring back the world's finest to teach in India. And a group of brilliant young comics who have become poster boys for freedom of speech and the art of laughter in India. With the World Cup in progress, we begin with a sport that obsesses us and unites us. One of the greatest cricketers ever will tell us what drives him as he steps off the pitch, but never out of the limelight. His career has been a remarkable one, as his conduct has been exemplary. Recently awarded the Bharat Ratna, the world is impatient to regard him as an elder statesman, but he remains as humble as he was when he made his debut as a curly-haired 16-year-old in Karachi 25 years ago. He has come a long way since then, and so is India. I'm not sure when the Achhe Din will come, but I can promise you at least 2 of them right here. Enjoy the conclave. Thank you.
Sachin Tendulkar, you think, born to play this game? Or do you think you were trained and it's those years of training that made you the cricketer that you are? Was it a God-given talent that you always had?
I think we have to train. Nothing comes easily. And I remember when I was maybe 6-year-old, 5-6-year-old, holding a cricket bat and swinging the bat and without thinking much about the technique. It was all about enjoyment. But then a serious chapter started in my life. At the age of 11, my brother took me to Achrekar sir, and that beautiful journey of playing cricket for India started there. I had to work hard. All successful people, they all have worked hard. Nothing comes easily. But I also believe that from a good player, you can become a very good player, you know. But that third level, which is sitting right at the top, where only those brilliant players sit, that I would say it is God's gift. But from a good player, you can work hard, spend those thousands and thousands of hours on the field or working on your game, on the way you approach the game, the way you think, the way you plan, all those kind of things. You can plan and you can execute them, but you can become a very good player. To become a brilliant player, it is God's gift. I mean, there are so many tennis players around, just to give you an example. Now, how many play like Roger Federer? There are not many. I mean, Roger Federer is something really, really special. And
Is he your favorite sportsman outside cricket?
without any doubt, I think I'm a big tennis fan. And when it comes to cricket, I might as well give my example. If I feel for 4 hours, I'll never feel like Jaunty Rhodes. Jaunty Rhodes is special, and that is God's gift. He's the best fielder I've seen. And, he would put doubts in your mind. Even if there was an easy single and you saw Jaunty's face, you would say, no, I better run hard because you never know. And that fear he was able to put in your mind.
But this God's gift point. This God's gift point, because I remember seeing you as an 11-year-old, and honest to God, you hit the ball harder than all of us who are 18 and 19. I remember you coming with your brother to the ground, and we said, this kid seems to hit the ball harder than us. Now, someone up there had decided, we all trained. We couldn't hit the ball outside
It is also
the square.
that, and I feel with those brilliant players, probably you are always step ahead of the opposition when people said that, you get more time to bat, or Roger Federer plays those amazing shots. Because he's already anticipating what possibly the other good players are not able to do. And I don't know what technique he uses or whatever, but it has to be God's gift.
No, because we thought that there was something that you had for breakfast as a 6-year-old that made you hit the ball so hard. But you just had a skill. It comes to some, and you're right, you are a legend like Federer is. And I've just wondered, and you put it well, that if you have to make that last leap to greatness, is that just about training? Thousands of kids every day will train to become the next Sachin Tendulkar. But to become the next Sachin Tendulkar, what is that X factor? Was there something there in your early years? Is there something that came within you? Is it within? Is it deep inside you?
It has to be within you, first of all. Cricket, or for that matter, any profession. I don't want to just stick to cricket. Whether you want to become a doctor, lawyer, or a hockey player, football player, whatever. It has to start from your heart first. And then in my case, cricket started from my heart, and then it found its way to my brain, where I started figuring out how to score runs and how to plan my innings. Not always I went out and I was able to smash each and every ball. There were number of overs, number of sessions, where I had to just let the ball go and wait for my time to come. And that is what, maturity brings in you. And then I felt in my case, it took some time because I had started my career quite early. I was only 16 when I started.
You matured at 15 and 16. We all mature at 50. And we still haven't matured, sorry. We still haven't matured at 50. You matured at 15. I remember you played Waqar Younis hits you in the head, and you sort of go on and bat and score a 50. So at the age of 15, when most of us are studying for our ICSE and SSC exams, you're playing Waqar Younis. You matured at 15. You're a prodigy. Why? Come to terms with it. Have you come to terms with the fact that you're a prodigy?
Well, I just went out and I played cricket, and I didn't think any more than that.
That's putting it simply. And what is the best and worst thing about being Sachin Tendulkar? What is the best thing about being Sachin Tendulkar, and what's the worst thing about being Sachin Tendulkar?
The best thing about being Sachin Tendulkar is I was madly in love with cricket. I'm still in love with cricket. And I enjoyed playing cricket. People enjoyed watching me, and they also paid for me. How many people get to live their passion throughout the career and also earn money from that and make life out of it, which is the best thing. The love and the adulation, respect that I've received from everyone, I'm ever so grateful. And
the worst thing?
The worst thing, the other side of the coin is, from the age of 14, I had started traveling a bit. And then when I played for India quite extensively, I missed out those wonderful years of spending time with my family, my friends. There were a number of friends who would go out and watch a movie, and I would be practicing, or I would be on tours. Then the second half of my career was when I got married to Anjali and I had two beautiful kids, Sarah and Arjun. I've missed their birthdays. I've missed number of special occasions which mean a lot to a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, when all the parents would exactly understand what I'm trying to say here. And I had no option. And the toughest thing for me was my son was not so happy that I was playing cricket and leaving him. He was only 3-year-old then. And then for almost first 6 years of his life, he didn't speak to me on the phone. And if I was away for a month and a half, that was without even hearing Arjun's voice. He absolutely hated that, so which was really difficult for me. And I would tell my wife that at least make him say hello to me on the phone and I'd be happy. You know, to stay away from them was the toughest bit for me.
That's an interesting thing you're saying, because Don Bradman's son changed his name for a while because he just couldn't take the pressure of being Don Bradman's son. Is life unfair for Arjun Tendulkar? Poor guy goes to bat every time. People are going to say he's Sachin Tendulkar's son. Is that unfair?
Maybe this is the right forum to mention that. Yeah, I mean, couple of years ago, Mumbai press felicitated me, and I got this opportunity to thank them personally, because every now and then you meet individuals, but you never get to thank everyone collectively. So at the same time, I told them that my father never pressurized me, you know, into picking a cricket bat. He never told me that, you know, I'm a writer, you have to also start writing. He gave me complete freedom to express my talent and be whatever I wanted to be in life. Whatever I dreamt of, he supported those dreams. He didn't want to live his dreams through my career. And the same thing I want Arjun to do. If he chose to become a cricketer, he loves cricket. Early on, he was in love with football, then chess, and all those things continue, but he wants to become a cricketer, and he has chosen that. The kind of freedom that I had, I would expect everyone to give him the same freedom, and then to fall in love with cricket. You know, if you fall in love with cricket or with your passion, that is the best thing you can do in life. And the results follow, you know, your process. The process is really important. And all I go out and then tell him every morning is, you know, Arjun, you have to appreciate what you've got in life and not complain what you haven't got in life. And that way you would be in the right space. You know, it is important for a sportsman to be happy. And if you're happy with yourself and you're happy with your effort that you're putting in, the results will follow. Don't worry about scoring centuries, because people will come and tell you, oh, your father didn't bat like that. But I wasn't batting like that at maybe 14 or 13 either. So people are comparing. It's a wrong comparison, because people are judging me after having played international cricket for 24 years. And you are starting your career, so don't get bogged down by that. Don't let that fire within you die down. You have to go out and enjoy the sport above all.
Do you want him to be a test cricketer, or are you okay?
For a country which had been tormented by a flood of scams, scandals, and declining rates of growth, while the leadership remained in a comatose state, India breathed a sigh of relief. The politics of despair had been replaced with the audacity of hope. Prime Minister Modi has hit the ground running with his vision and the direction he wants to take the country. I believe it's the right vision. With 270 million people still below the poverty line, raising their standard of living has to be the topmost priority for any government. Modi's approach is poverty elimination through economic growth and not poverty alleviation like that. Creation of new jobs, but many programs have to precede it. It means the creation of physical infrastructure, and skilled human capital. Smart cities naturally become part of this scheme. How do you build a 21st century India with the 19th century roads and railways? How do you actually realize the demographic dividend if young men and women do not have the right skills for the right jobs? These are some of the issues we will discuss at the conclave with all the stakeholders. The budget was path-breaking. In that it reflected some change in the mindset. The change being that the government is not the end-all of everything, limiting the unproductive doles which are the hallmark of the previous regime, official opposition. I think you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Narendra Modi. In my 40 years of journalism, I have not seen such a relentless, high-voltage election campaign as that of Modi's 2014 general election. It was a lethal combination of digital warriors with RSS foot soldiers. The maximum campaign got maximum results. After 30 years, a clear mandate to one party. And if I may say so, I believe this mandate was for development, not for divide, for empowerment, not for appeasement, for performance, not for preaching. It is a welcome change which for the last 5 years, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 14th edition of India's finest festival of ideas and arguments. What a year it has been, full of great upheavals, astonishing victories, and astounding comebacks. In the long-running soap opera that is Indian democracy, this has been a year of chills, spills, and assorted thrills. We have witnessed a one-man demolition squad. He first demolished the old guard of his party and bent it to his will. He then went to diminish the grand old party to a point where it could not even be recognized as an people coming to the job market every month. This is a huge challenge. The only way to do this is to fix our fundamentally lopsided economy. India employs 49% of the labor force in agriculture, while it contributes only 14% to our GDP. These ratios have to change if you have to become a developed country and eliminate poverty. We have to make agriculture more productive and provide jobs for the resultant surplus labor in industry. The contribution to GDP of industry has to improve dramatically from the present 26%. Quite obvious, actually, but no previous government has given it the trust and focus like the Modi government. This is where the Prime Minister's ambitious Make in India program fits in.